Alright, so yes, Magomed Ankalaev got steamrolled by Alex Pereira, and yes, he did lose his belt this weekend, but as it turns out, the biggest loser from UFC 320 was his manager Ali Abdelaziz. I have wanted to make a video on this peanut head-shaped doofus for a while now, and from all the trash talk he did on Ankalaev's behalf to his performative coping after the fight, this guy keeps digging a deeper hole for himself, and frankly, I can't wait for him to jump in it. But on a positive note, Alex being the champion again revitalizes the UFC so much, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that he saved us from years of not caring about the light heavyweight division. This weekend was truly a story of heroes, villains, justice, and revenge, and yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about all this and more. But first, let's talk about the fight. Guys, I'm going to be completely honest with you, I totally thought Alex was going to lose this one, and even though I didn't have any faith in him, I will also take credit for him winning this fight. If you may recall, after the first fight, I made a video saying that Alex let the fame go to his head, which in hindsight was a really bad title. I should have titled it Alex got caught up in the fame. I think it's a lot more accurate, and I still think that's the reality of what happened. But you know what? He obviously saw that video, he obviously took my criticism to heart, and he obviously kept a lower profile throughout this training camp, and look what happened, he won. Okay, clearly I'm kidding, but I do think it was a good move from Alex to be way less active on social media heading into this fight, and I'm glad that we didn't see him flying to South Korea 3 weeks before the fight.
Well, I think Alex, if he just takes a step back, clears his brain, comes in fresh, stop traveling all over the fucking world, I think he has a legitimate shot of beating him.
And of course he's gone on record saying that he was injured and sick in the first fight, which if true put him even more at a disadvantage, but all I'm saying is this guy did not do himself any favors flying all over the world and shit heading into their first matchup. But you know what, a man can admit when he's wrong, and I will be the first one to say that I judged Alex too harshly. This guy walked into this fight with the eye of the tiger, he walked Magomed down with no respect, and he did exactly what I was hoping he would do in the first fight. And before anybody starts crying about me being happy that Ankalaev lost, you're right, I am, but it's not because I don't like the guy. I actually think he's a great fighter, and he's almost always in good fights. But if you're asking me who I'd rather see champion between Alex, who's knocked out nearly every single person he gets in there with, or Big Onk, who's won half his UFC fights by decision, yeah, I'm gonna root for Alex. Pereira being champion is so much better for the sport, it makes things more exciting, and the potential for setting up super fights is infinitely higher than if Ankalaev has the belt. Now that Alex is the champ again, you can do Alex versus Tom Aspinall, Alex versus Khamzat Chimaev, and he's even been talking about fighting John Jones at the White House. You don't even have to do cross-division fights with Alex. I would be more than happy to see him defend against any of the guys at 205. And the cherry on top of this Chama Sunday is the fact that this weirdo Ali Abdelaziz has to eat all the shit that he's talked over the past couple of months. This guy is such a loser, and I genuinely feel like the entire sport of MMA would be better off without him. Instead of letting his fighters make the choice to organically engage in shit talk if they so please, it's been obvious for years that he posts on their social media so that he can take shots at other fighters that he doesn't like or doesn't manage.
Is there still that sort of bad blood with you and Ankalaev as well?
When I was in PI, I trained there in the cage, and I saw Ankalaev. He came around me and he just said, hello. And I said, fuck, man, why are you so nice, man? Are you nice or bad guy? Nice guy or bad guy? On the Twitter, you are really bad guy for everyone and big Anka, whatever. So I just didn't understand that. And then I really understand that he's like sportsman, like normal sportsman, and somebody else writing these bullshits on the Twitter or whatever. So
I am fine with shit talk between fighters. In fact, I love when fighters openly beef with one another. It's one of my favorite aspects of the sport. But it takes all the fun out of it when you need to have your weirdo ass manager write your tweets for you. If you aren't willing to type it out yourself, or if you aren't willing to say it yourself without consulting your manager before you do it, then don't even do it. But if you as a manager have to coerce or otherwise convince your fighters to let you type out messages on their behalf in order to promote a fight, then you are doing way too much as a manager. And I understand that Ali probably justifies doing this by saying that he's just building up hype for the fight, and as a result both fighters end up making more money because what he's doing generates more interest, and even if that is true, it's still corny. His fighters are grown-ass men, and no amount of language barrier can justify him, another grown-ass man, doing all of this extra shit. Okay, I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, so let me rewind. In the lead up to this weekend's fight, Ankalaev had an entire series of very smug tweets directed at not just Alex, but also Khalil Roundtree, where he makes it very clear how far ahead he thinks he is compared to the rest of the guys at 205.
I'm just smiling.
What is your opinion on Ankalaev?
I don't have one.
You don't have any opinion at all?
No, not one.
No, because he's the champ. Okay. I get it.
Yeah. Let's go back to Alex.
Yeah.
Norovirus.
Are you just not a fan of his?
I can say confidently, am I a fan? Absolutely not.
As a human or a fighter?
Both.
Okay. So have you had bad interactions with him as a human?
He just talks shit, and I
Does
hate
he?
people that talk shit.
In one of the tweets, Ankalaev claims that he's writing them himself, but I think that this is a flat-out lie, seeing as a couple of weeks later he admits on camera that Ali writes his tweets with his permission. Now fast forward to Sunday, Alex took to Instagram and posted the following, clearly directed towards Ali. When a manager has never been an athlete and wants to promote to gain fame and money, but you're the one in there risking your life and he's outside laughing. Clearly Alex didn't take kindly to what Ali posted on Ankalaev's behalf, and I'd like to think that the constant trash talk he was forced to put up with since the first fight helped fuel Alex to pull off what he did this past weekend. And in response to Alex's message, Ali then took to his own Instagram, where in a very roundabout way admitted to writing Ankalaev's trash talk. Everything Ankalaev said on his social media, he approved it, and if I did help him, it was his knowledge, okay? But to be fair to Ali, apart from pathetically defending his competition experience where he went 1-3 in pro MMA, I do think that the rest of what he said throughout his post was pretty valid. I mean, he does insinuate that Magomed was injured going into this fight, or at the very least had a tough training camp, and I've already seen people immediately call this out for being a bullshit excuse, but you never know, he might have been injured like Alex was going into the first fight. My issue with this post is the bizarre pussyfooting around admitting that he's talking trash on behalf of his fighters to other fighters. He implies that he does as heavily as he can without actually admitting it, and we all know that he's been doing it for a very long time at this point, so it just annoys me that he doesn't come right out and say it. This dude's such a weasel. He wants to benefit from using his fighters like ventriloquist dummies, but doesn't want to own up to it when what he says backfires on him. I feel like any self-respecting MMA manager should have the basic decency to not interfere in the relationships between active fighters, and this would usually be the time where I start listing off good managers, but the only other one I actually know is Tiki Gazin, who I also think is weird. And I hate to defend Tiki, but you know what? At least this guy understands the boundaries of being a manager. He stays in the background, he lets his fighters speak for themselves, and he's not blatantly controlling their social media and acting like a fool. Abdelaziz is just one of those dudes that has a natural instinct to at worst make everything about him, or at best insert himself into situations he has no business being in.
Face forward, guys. Grab your belts. Connor's belt. The little nips. Breathe, kid. Take a breath. Shut your mouth. Ali Abdelaziz, mad terrorist. Ali. Terrorist snitch. Ali. I know a lot about you as well, you mad rat. I know a lot about you as well. You keep your mouth shut, kid. Let me take my picture. How's Noah? How's Noah, huh? Yeah, shut your mouth. Never speak about me. Ever in your life. Watch yourself around me, because you'll be out here quick.
Do you see what I'm saying? Habib didn't say a single word this entire face-off. He was cold as ice. And then they separate, and all of a sudden, Ali starts yapping from the sidelines like he's actually gonna do something. I won't lie to you, I'm kind of glad he did say something, because the way Connor says Ali Abdelaziz always makes me laugh, but my point remains, if you are a manager, then stay in your lane. And if you're at all wondering what the hell Connor's talking about here, then allow Connor himself to give you a quick history lesson.
His manager is a fucking snitch, terrorist, rat. And that's it. I could go into heavy detail, and I will go into heavy detail. He was pulled off of a flight going from Cairo, Egypt to New York City on September 11, 2001. He was caught with 5 passports in his possession. He turned informant and turned on the people that he was working with. He is I don't even know how that man is in this country.
Mind you, all of this is accurate, and the full details are even crazier. Ali was in fact arrested in 2001, and after 16 months in jail, he was then persuaded by his lawyer to become an NYPD and FBI informant, where he was assigned to infiltrate the Muslims of America, which allegedly had ties to a known terrorist group. He then became one of the highest paid informants in the United States after earning hundreds of thousands of dollars from the FBI. However, he was fired from being an informant when the FBI began to suspect him of being a double agent, and after the government unsuccessfully tried to deport him, Ali has since been deemed a flight risk and is no longer allowed to leave the country. But even if he wasn't a national security risk, I would still loathe and despise this insufferable moron for all of his unbearable antics he pulls in his everyday life. This guy didn't cut it as a pro fighter himself, so instead he talks crazy about real fighters while hiding behind the guys he manages. Ali is performative, he's narcissistic, and he's desperate for attention, and I'm glad that Alex Pereira wiped a shit-eating grin off his face. Anyways, that's the video for today. Definitely let me know your thoughts on Alex recapturing the title. As always, if you like the video, then like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
And just last thing on management, what do you make of Usman's manager not being able to get Beneil Dariush a backup title spot and not getting Bilal a backup title spot over you as well?
You know, James, you know what I was going to ask about that? Why wasn't that guy in attendance in London, James? Could you tell me why?
I think if you do a little bit of digging, I don't believe he's allowed to leave the U.S., so...
Really? Why is he not allowed to leave the U.S.?
I think he might have had a checkered past, so to speak, to put it lightly. You can Google's your friend. There's a few things online about some of the activity that he's been involved with. But you're right. That's why he wasn't in Abu Dhabi. It's wasn't why he was in London as well. So I think you know the same stuff I do.
Wow, that's interesting, James. Ali Abdelaziz is not allowed out of the country. Hey, wow, man. Fans, do your research what type of person that guy is.